for the pledge. It's 6:32. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion for the acceptance of the agenda. Alicia, second. Heidi, any questions? All in favor? Okay, public forum, we have Lisa Reese.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's Day.
I first want to recognize that we have Paula Knoll on your agenda tonight for retirement. 36 years, I'm not even sure, but she has been a strong member of our faculty, somebody that we all look to for advice with our students, for support. Does a fantastic job, and she will be, so I'd like to give her a little shout out and wish her well. I would also like to thank the liaison team and Lieutenant Superintendent Grunger, Alexis Miller, Ashley. We worked very well together, and board members came to our last meeting to develop the calendar that you're going to approve tonight. It was, I'm celebrating that it's February and we're approving the calendar. I think that's just excellent. So, and it was just a really positive exchange. So shout out to Allison Stark, my liaison chair, and Angela Webster, and Connie Miller also. And I would also like to thank the board for a really fun time Friday night. And yesterday, getting together, we all donated our time after work, and I think that it is a good sign of the times. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I need a motion for the acceptance of the consensus agenda. Motion, Alicia, I'm gonna look at you. Second, Heidi. Any questions on the consensus agenda? All in favor? I think she has a date. Okay, presentations. So proposed new courses.
Hi there.
Hi.
So usually this comes in December and this be a little bit more time. So thank you for giving us this time. We have 2 courses for you this year that we would like to propose to offer in 24-25 school year.
I have a clicker for you.
Oh, awesome. And I just want to go over, you've seen this slide each year when we propose new courses. Reasons why we do this is we want students to explore careers. As we know, the careers are not going to exist 10, 15 years. So we want to keep updating our courses to reflect what we believe students' needs are. We want them to be able to earn college credit. These 2 courses will not be college credit that you're looking at tonight, but in some cases they are, and these 2 courses are definitely aimed at preparing our students for the research that they will encounter in their studies. So very valid reasons to have these courses approved. Enrichment, active engagement of our students, the one I'm super excited about because it's really about community. And even though the world's changing, we need to still foster community. These courses allow us to increase student engagement, which leads to high school graduation increases, as well as post-high school enrollment in some kind of program. And both these courses are upper level courses for juniors and seniors, hoping to accomplish that. So both courses are in the social studies department. They're half credits. The first one is about New York State and local history. And the second one is going to follow that in the spring semester, historical research. And the New York State and local history is going to allow our students to explore their community and analyze how national and international events impact their local community. They will have a chance to visit historical sites, meet with historians, and will hopefully gain a better understanding and appreciation for our local community. Some of the things they will study are Native American tribes that were in this area, Underground Railroad, the whaling industry, the Hudson River School, Revolutionary War and Civil War, and many more things. This is going to be heavily student-driven so that they can explore their personal interest in the community. So I'm very excited about that. And as they move on, we hope second semester they're continuing the course and really do that deep dive into what they've identified as what interests them. And I would remind the board too, at this point, when we have done research courses, such as the science research or agri-science research, added historical research, because it gives a different avenue for those students that maybe aren't as scientific minded but are research minded to explore in the area of history. So they will have a chance to do their own research. I just had the experience with my son who's finishing up his bachelor's degree last semester. He's a double major, so he's doing 2 research theses. And the last one was history. And it just was amazing to me to watch the difference of what he went through versus the scientific process. And it was different than my educational research. So I think it's really a wonderful opportunity for our students to be able to have this kind of experience as well. Our students come back and tell us all the time how much their research work meant to them in high school. They are far above their peers when they take research classes because they are asked in these classes today to interpret research, and many of them do not have the skill set to do that. I've heard from student how they have led their peer groups at the college level because of the background they had in research here at Chicago. Super excited about this opportunity. That is going to lead to 2 more things that I'm going to speak with you in March. We have a workshop scheduled, and I have a group of teachers that have been working on civic readiness, as well as the seal of biliteracy. You know that this has been in the process for many years, especially the biliteracy. We've had a little bit of a hiccup with COVID and then staffing, so we're glad that we can get this back on track, and we'll present that program to you, as well as the civic readiness program to you. You will have a draft plan. You can give us input, and we will look for board approval of those 2 plans in April and implementation for next year. So with that, I do anticipate another new course, which is not ready to bring it to you quite yet until that plan has been fully developed. So do expect another new course, and that is the capstone course for civic readiness. And we have run the pilot this year, so that has allowed us to be ready for it for next year. So any questions on those 2 new courses for Kim?
I had 2. One was the civic readiness, but the other one was, is there interest in these 2 courses? I mean, I think they're wonderful courses,
Yes.
so I would take them. So,
Absolutely, there is interest.
That's awesome.
Yes, yes. What we found is we have a lot of social studies, and this would be a question I would have if I was a board member. We have a lot of social studies classes on the books. They're not as appealing anymore to the students that we have in our classrooms today. So we're really looking to see where they want to go. There was input from students and these teachers in the social studies department. There's one teacher that's looking at Priscilla Court. She's anticipated to be the teacher that will teach these courses. She's done the prep work for that.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's, it'd be nice to have the students know there's a lot of history around here.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there is.
And we're really still trying to keep community connections.
Yeah,
Even though our
absolutely.
world is
Yeah.
changing rapidly, it's still important to understand where we come from.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And now we have the budget overview.
Can you turn it,
Yes. So I first just want to start and make sure everybody knows where the budget landing page is. So if you go to budget, finance, and voting. So on this page, we have all of our current year budget, 23-24, all of our voting information, budget from previous years, our audit information. That's all public, so if you scroll up, you can go back to our 24-25. 24-25 proposed budget. We built this landing page, and as the budget process goes on, we will continue to add documents to that. So right now we have some tax exemption impact reports from last year, report card information, monthly enrollment that gets updated monthly. Karen gives us a spreadsheet and that gets loaded to this section. State aid detail that was uploaded last week. And then the state aid factors from Questar and our budget calendar for the year. So I'm going to start off by going through the state aid detail. So I gave you all a printout in case you can't see this tiny information here. And I will skip over foundation aid until the next slide because we have a lot to delve into with that. As you know, the governor's proposal, our district will be impacted very hard by the executive proposal. So we'll get into that. Transportation aid, you're going to see a decrease here. Our transportation aid is made up of our enrollment and our district wealth, which among the other aid factors as well. But our transportation rate, aid ratio has decreased again. It's about 0.091, and last year it was about 0.191. So it's just a factor of us getting smaller and again, our district wealth. A lot of the other aids are expense-based aids. So that's aids from prior year that's submitted in our ST3 in November. The BOCES aid, that's a subject of prior year expenses. Our high tax aid, that stays pretty much the same. Hardware and technology, that's based on our land wealth. We'll never see any of that aid. Software technology stays the same. High cost access aid, that is based on prior year expenses. We have students that are in, we can claim students that are over a certain threshold. Last year was $89,000. So any student that we spent over $89,000 on, we're able to claim that amount. Private excess costs of students that we have in out of district. The CARES Act, the American Rescue Plan, that's going away. The CARES 2, we have a little bit left that we plan to spend, might be on summer curriculum. We do plan to spend the last part of the attendance bonus that we approved in 2022. We have to use all of that funding by 9/30 of 24. So I did show zero there, but we will explain in the next couple of months how we plan to spend the rest of it. Universal pre-K is interesting. We are receiving an increase. However, that universal pre-K was developed for schools to kind of structure or enhance their pre-K programming. We can't use it for a 3-year-old program, so a lot of this funding will never be used. We also fund one section of pre-K that we allow out-of-district students of staff members to come, and the salaries that we, for that teacher in that room, cannot be covered under the universal pre-K. And we did not put an end date on that, the proposition to approve the resolution to approve for students out of district. So we won't have to approve that again for this year. Okay, the fun stuff, foundation aid. So hold harmless, save harmless, it's used either way. This clause has always ensured that the amount of foundation aid provided to a district is not less than what they received the year before. So the governor is proposing that this clause be removed from the budget. And what that means for us is we are going to see a drastic decrease if this holds up. So she's proposing what's called a transition adjustment. So this transition adjustment is a calculation of our prior year foundation aid, which is the $8.2 million, less what the foundation aid formula actually does to our district when they actually use the formula for our district. So that leaves us with a difference of $5.5 million. They then take that $5.5 million and multiply it by our FASSR, which is made up of a lot of complicated factors I still haven't been able to figure out, but I'm getting there. But if it's less than 0.5, then you multiply it by 0.5. So some districts might have an FASSR of 0.9%, so they would take that 5.5 multiply it by 0.9. However, ours is much lower, so they give us 0.5. So that gives us the transition adjustment. They then take that 2.68, which is what we would get with the foundation aid formula, and add on the transition adjustment amount to make up what we will be receiving this year. So that is a $2.7 million decrease. It makes up about 33% of our foundation aid and about 7% of our overall budget. And just a visual, the orange solid line is what we normally receive in aid. The blue solid line is with our district with the actual foundation aid formula. And then that dotted line is what we will be receiving this year.
Did you want to touch on the letter? Oh, sure. I do have a letter that I wrote. It's important information regarding Governor Hochul's budget proposal. In your, you have a copy, right?
Yep,
You have a copy of that for your review. We will be posting this letter tomorrow on our website and on Facebook. We are going to send them to our libraries as well, local libraries, so that we can make our community as aware as much and ask them for support in standing against this, how the foundation aid is figured out, and also getting rid of Save Harmless in this school year.
So now we'll go through the tax cap formula. Some considerations are tax-based growth factor. This has decreased from last year, and as I go through the formula, I'll explain what those, what each thing means on the formula. CPI is still pending. The allowable growth factor would be 2% or the lesser of CPI. 23-24, our carryover amount that's calculated, those are 23-24, but within the maximal allowable levy limit, we can carry that into the school year. You could, if you use it or lose it, you can use all of it, a portion of it, or none of it. Some early projections, it looks like we could have a maximal allowable levy limit of 4.97%. It's about $1.2 million in new revenue. So here is the fun stuff. The top of the formula, that is your prior year levy limit. So it's very important to understand when whatever you levy in the prior year impacts your next year. So the top line is our prior levy limit with a 2.9% decrease multiplied by that tax-based growth factor. So the tax-based growth factor is based on infrastructure, physical infrastructure, new construction, remodeling, anything like that that happens within your district. So in 21-22, that growth factor was about 1.175, I believe, and that was due to COVID, people moving and building new houses. We're seeing that come down a little as things are getting a little more steady. So you're allowed to increase your levy by that growth factor. The tax then you back out the tax levy to pay for local capital costs. So anything that you excluded last year, and by excluded, I mean you have to add to your tax levy, you have to then subtract. So we ended up adding this $53,000 last year. That gives us a new adjusted levy for exclusions. And then again, you can grow your levy by 1.02, the lesser of CPI, or 2%. That's given to us by the comptroller. And then if you all remember last year, we thought year one of the pilot was going to be last year. It's actually going to be this year. The construction is not complete at the Clock Estate. They do anticipate that it will be completed by March 1 of this year. And Lynn Ho-Tailing from the town assessor's office in Clobber did confirm that she believes they're putting them on the rolls for 24-25.
But they've not been paying any tax for all of that land, correct?
I don't believe so. We are in touch with Mike Tucker's office from the IDEA. Alex has a call into him because I just want to confirm this amount and also the current agreement that we have. And then you're allowed to bring over your carryover, which gives us a levy limit of $26,038,368 with a 4.71 increase. But wait, there's more. Capital exclusions. So we are allowed to add in money for any pension contribution costs if there's an exclusion with ERS or TRS. There hasn't been an exclusion for ERS or TRS in about 10 years. This year, ERS, there is an exclusion for that. So if an annual growth in the contribution rate for either retirement system is over 2%, then you can, they call it an exclusion, but you can add that to your tax levy, anything that over the 2%. So this year, ERS is 2.1%. So we can add 0.1% of our member contribution to our tax levy. So that gives us the $5,487. And then we add in the tax levy to pay for some local capital costs. This formula is incredibly complicated. It's taken me about 16 hours to actually plug it in and figure out what it is. But basically any cash that anything that we pay with cash, so our buses, our debt service that we agreed to pay in cash over the next few years, that's all plugged into a formula and it spits out this number for me. So I will send you all the spreadsheet that gives the full calculation, but that is what's added to the tax levy, giving us a maximal allowable levy limit for 24-25 of 4.97%. I just want to quickly show you all, if you aren't familiar with carryover and how it's calculated. So the districts can carry over the lesser of two amounts of the calculations. So what we actually, or what we could have levied minus what we actually levied is calculation 1. Calculation 2 is what we could have levied multiplied by 1.5, giving us that 400,000 carryover. I just wanted to show you a comparison year to year of what we could have levied and what we actually levied. In black is the allowable by New York State, and the orange is what we actually levied. So these are the draft budget initiatives as they stand. If you're here and submitted one, you don't see it, that's because we do plan to use current year funds and or COVID money to pay for those expenses. Do you want to touch on blueprint?
Sure. So I just want to point out in the article that you were provided that is from the NISBA paper, and it talks about the board's role in budget development. One of the things it talks about is thinking about what you're using your money for and how you're planning. Part of that, and they mention in here having a strategic plan so that you're very clear in knowing the kind of programs, professional development, and other items that you are spending that will support the school district. The blueprint is, that money is set aside for us to work with the consultants who are part of Blueprint, they are made up of superintendents from across the state who have put this together, and they've developed strategic plans that are successful, and they've also done it in a process that doesn't take like it used to, even 6 months to a year, but just a few months. We are scheduled to work with them in September to create this strategic plan, which would include stakeholders across all areas. If we could get them sooner, we might be able to start in the summer. We'll see about that. The second piece is Better Lesson. This is a company that really focuses on building, sustaining practices throughout a district by doing a lot of coaching, not only of administrators, but teachers as well, just overall leaders in the district, helping us to focus on identifying through walkthroughs and our data, where are the areas that we need to prioritize, and then bringing in professionals to work with our professionals to maximize our opportunities to increase and improve student outcomes, and also strengthen the current practices that exist in the district. It's really about building. One of the reasons that we started it this year was because we wanted to have it be a bridge to writing our strategic plan. It gives us an opportunity to hear teacher voice and have everybody be a part of making decisions and understanding why and what will go into the strategic plan. They would continue to work with us throughout the following year if we're able to do that. Again, not only guiding us into meaningful insight, but really supporting us so that eventually we don't need that help and support because we have really strengthened our practices within the district with our leaders in every component of the school district to keep these practices going so that they're sustained and they're intended to be long-term for success. And board docs, I don't know if you wanted me to mention much about that, but it is an excellent way for us to keep archived items. It's easy access. It's also very.
The jury's still out on these. The jury's still out on these, but we're getting there.
Well, change is always an adjustment, even if we know we need change, or
Yes.
we kind of like it. But there's great things about it. I don't know.
I do like it for policy. I do like it for
It's
that.
great for policy.
It really is,
It connects to NYSBA for us, and everything is just digitally there. Reports, like tonight, the reports, you would have access to them ahead of time. You can see the PowerPoints, different things like
Instead of
that.
scrolling through 200 pages of.
Yes, do you want to say
Easy.
anything else about it?
That's really it. The Pro allows me to take minutes during the meeting. Like it'll have all your names listed and I just check them off and it will automatically record the time the meeting starts, anytime anything happens.
Is that what you're using now?
We have the light version now, so I wanted
Okay.
to do a test run from January to June. How I liked it, and it's really good for me. I know you guys are
Well,
kind of getting used to it.
I'm getting used to it, but yeah, it's a challenge.
But it's also, there's an addition of the library, which, like she said, there could be any reports or anything, your committees, we could put sections with all your committees in there and put anything you want to talk about or outstanding items. There's just a lot more things you could do with the Pro version. So we did a test run this year from January to June to start getting everything in there, like I got all the policies in there. I can also, with the Pro version, create a draft. So NYSBA releases the policy updates. I can automatically hit a button and it drafts the policy for me already. So that's really, really helpful. So I don't have to keep copying and pasting and editing the policy on my own. It's kind of done for us, which is great.
I just wanted to note a few other things on there if I could. It's really important for us to make sure that we're providing our students opportunities outside of the classroom. Many of our students don't get opportunities to necessarily do other things outside of their school day and being at home. It's important for their learning, not just their learning how to read and write, get along with each other, know how to handle conflict, but it's also important that they're exposed to various opportunities. We want to continue to promote a love of reading. The author visits have been very successful. and any kind of field trips and opportunities for music, any of the other arts, anything that we can work to provide and support for them, we would like to continue to do that as well. And you'll just see some, pieces in there that speak to that.
John, don't panic. You're gonna get your stuff that we had before on here.
Yeah.
John had a big list and we're gonna get it. Some budget considerations, TRS, the contribution rate is going up a little bit, not too much. TRS uses a 5-year rolling average to determine their rates. ERS, on the other hand, is coming up a little bit more, about 2%. Workers' comp, I should know that by next month. Unemployment, to be determined, but we have not paid $1 in unemployment costs to date. Health insurance, this is very, very early, however,
14%?
they are anticipating a 14% increase. Last year was 12%, and then the year before that was 2%. Our 7.5%. Dental, I usually get the last minute. State aid is down, diesel might be down, but the cost of electricity might be up due to the EV buses and the charging. So we will delve into that in the next month or so. Nick and Bobby Joe are really helping me with calculating the expected cost for the diesel and the electricity for next year. Teachers negotiations starting very, very soon. On a positive note, the district will receive a health insurance settlement in 24-25. So we are involved in the healthcare consortium, and in 1920 we paid more to the consortiums than the actual claims that came in, so therefore we're getting a refund. It was a surplus of about $6 million, and they distribute that to all the schools that are involved in the consortium. We are discussing a potential capital project. May not end up as a capital project. We're just talking about it. We'll bring it up more on March 6th at our budget workshop. The roof area above the PAC does need to be repaired. The HVAC unit above the pool will need to be replaced. COVID grants are expected to expire. We have 4 instructional positions and 2 non-instructional positions that we're currently funding out of that grant.
They'll expire at the end of this year.
And the projected propositions, 24-25 budget, election of 2 board members with 5-year terms. We talked about a possible transfer to the capital reserve, dependent on what our final budget number is. We'll have to talk about that again. And any of the transportation vehicles that we'll talk about on March 6th. So just some dates coming up. March 6th is our first budget workshop. The departments, John, I probably didn't tell you this yet, Bobby Joe and Nick will present their department budget.
On March 6th or
Yes.
both dates?
March 6th.
Okay. Please write these dates down, guys.
Oh, do you want to?
I just wanted to mention because Mr. Dodds had put together a great tech opportunity for teachers with his department last Friday. And new technology was brought in by some vendors. One of them was an active floor, which is a pad where they have a series of different things that run through the computer. Games, extra learning activities that are more hands-on and get students up and moving. And we had great excitement about that and that opportunity. We didn't see that on the proposed budget because we originally thought we should take it off because of the situation we're in, but knowing the advantages that that can bring, especially for our younger students, and the excitement around it, we're looking to purchase that out of money that we have this year. Thanks.
And I will leave you with your menu of options. I printed this out for you guys, just showing the different options for the tax levy.
Ashley?
Yeah.
Not to incite panic, but I just want to make sure we're clear on this. Assuming the foundation aid goes according to Governor Hochul's plans, we're going to lose about $2.7 million, which is 7% of our budget. What I don't think people understand is that the following year, it doubles. So what was 8.2 becomes 2.6. I don't know if you understand that's a 14% budget cut. So, and I'm guessing, my best guess is that we'll not know the results of what's going to happen until after we have to decide what we're going to charge for taxes.
Yes.
So I'm just saying everybody needs to keep that in mind. You know, I'm all in favor of getting everything we can for the school. I'm also in favor of is 14%. Correct? All right, thank you.
So even with the highest tax levy here, we would still need to access reserves if we did not change the overall budget number. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind as well.
And even if the Save Harmless does not go through this year, it's really important for us moving forward to be working with our administration and different departments to really be talking about what can we do to be proactive moving forward, and as much as possible keep from impacting our students and their classroom experiences under these conditions.
Would it be possible to use the pre-K surplus money for that equipment you wanted, since it's also for
You can only use pre-K money for pre-K programming. That's one of the things too, because the majority of school districts can't use all the money that's set aside for that purpose.
So March 6th, we'll definitely have we'll have a preliminary budget number by then. I've done the projections for all the staffing. I'm still working on, you know, the department budgets and things like that, but we will definitely have more of a conversation on March 6th.
Thanks. Can you turn the light on? Oh, there is?
Yes, we have our building administrative updates from now through halfway, their midpoint.
Oh, okay.
Updates for everybody.
Oh, that's next. Oh, I'm sorry. That's next. Sorry. Records. Geez, I can't see you guys.
Up a little bit?
Maybe a little.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
I don't know, I'll try, sometimes it works.
Things. I know sometimes when you turn it, it goes all the way bright and.
Yeah, the ice machine.
So it's Conic Hills Elementary School, pre-K, pre-3. Here are the different topics I'll be talking about today. We'll first start out talking about attendance data from September until January, discipline data, some events that have happened at the elementary level, what better lessons could look like for us, and literacy and math data, steps to focus on, and targeted supports. So attendance. So currently, we have that 92% of students have been in attendance at school. We have a small amount of late arrivals and early dismissals. When I look at absent count by month, it's kind of broken down by the different colors in the grade level for each month. And as you can see that we saw an increase kind of in January. There has been definitely some sicknesses and illnesses that have been going around, as well as you kind of see a small spike in November, but it did go down in December. So I'm feeling hopeful that we could try to stay healthy once the spring comes around. So why are students missing school? The number one reason is for unexcused absences at 58%, or really 59%. 38% of our absences are excused. So the way that we are addressing this at the elementary level is that we are contacting homes when students have missed more than 2 consecutive days in a row. We've been sending letters home using attendance counts. We've also been creating postcards for certain families saying, hey, we've missed you, just to try to get them back. We have been inviting the families in and providing them visuals showing different graphs of how many times has your student missed, what does this look like for them when they've missed this amount of school, and how many days does that count to when you're looking at an academic year. One of the programs that we have offered at the elementary, throughout our district through Berkshire Taconic is Home Run. And so we've been referring families to Home Run because they can put different support systems in place from both outside and inside where they're touching base with families to help support things such as attendance behaviors so that they're not just relying on the school. Discipline. Okay. So here is the amount of referrals that we have had from pre-K through 3 by month. As you can see that there was an increase from October into November, a decrease in December, and another increase in January. I'm going to be breaking these down a little bit further in just a moment. So one of the biggest reasons for referral is 83% of them are events that are occurring on the bus. There's also times that there's arguing and aggression and fighting and hitting.
This is pre-K through 3? Okay.
And you gotta think, so the other can look at many different ways. So other could be the student wanted to pull down his pants on the bus, it writes a referral. So, and when you're addressing it, when you're looking at by grade level, the grade level that is getting kind of the highest hitters are currently in grade 1. So I attended the grade 1 meeting and talked to them about how there has just been an increase in different referrals with that particular grade level and what are some additional things that we could put in place, not just being sent to the principal with a referral, but what are some things that we could do classroom-wide and what are some things and structures that we could put in place so that kids are really getting it. So we're addressing it by, one of the biggest things I've been promoting is bus safety. So I don't know if you've seen the flyer that's in the Friday folder, but kind of reviewing the rules. We have classrooms that are reviewing the rules before kids get on the bus at the end of the day. I've been physically boarding the buses and reminding students of rules. Now the kids have become tattletales and they'll come and tell me when people are breaking the rules so I can board and remind them.
That's cute.
So we've been doing I've been doing classroom visits, I've been contacting by having the rules kind of both visual, both online and in the classroom. I'm able to say, these are the 5 rules, your student knows them. When I was talking about them, they violated this rule. It just helps the communication break down better and the parents can get on board with me. I've also been having a lot of one-to-one conversations with students. For students that are having maybe repetitive issues with another student, we're doing peer mediation to try to repair the relationships that are happening, so that we could be, more positive moving forward. We've also been trying to teach restorative practices. So discipline isn't just always a consequence, that what was happening before it happened, and then what are some other options that you could do? So when the student, it's not just disciplinary, but what's something you could do for the future? What are some other ways that you could handle this situation? I've also been attending grade level meetings, like I said, to hear from the teachers. How do they want to collaborate on solutions? What are things that they want to put into place to make sure that this is improving? Any more questions about this one?
I had one on your attendance piece of how is it working? I mean, like contacting the parents and, I mean, are you getting positive feedback from them with their children? Not, I mean, because obviously at that age, that's on them, right? I mean, it's not really necessarily on the child, I mean, you know.
I know, and a lot of them, it's like, it's a really hard time getting them out the door in the morning. And then that's where I feel like the visuals really help them, because if you're talking about you're coming late for 15 minutes every day, that ends up being how many academic days of school that your child's missing. So those conversations are really important, because it might just seem like 15 minutes here and there, but it really adds up. And that's like a whole, that you're starting in the morning, you're starting in already flustered, if like the rest of the class is starting, you have not.
And the child gets upset.
Yeah, and it's really not the child's fault. So
It's
I think that we just gotta get the parents on board, you know? Okay, some of the events that have happened in our school, we had the pumpkin run. This video is about 5 minutes, so I don't know if we want to watch the whole thing, but I think if you guys will, oh no, it's 2 minutes, sorry. And all the events that we've had at the school have just really been well received. I have it that you can actually click in the presentation. The author actually made a whole, I guess, like Instagram feed about his experience here at the school. That's very entertaining to watch. And he like did little snippets of all different parts of the day that he experienced. Miss Hillier, our music teacher, worked really hard with all the kids to have a whole lunch lady song. We actually had all of our cafeteria staff dress up as superheroes, and they're kind of the bottom image. It was incredibly engaging, and they came out to Eye of the Tiger, like running into the auditorium. We also had, people dress up as different farm animals to be a farm band. That was one of the author's books. So that was a very engaging experience.
I saw the video on that.
Right? It was great.
Cute.
The Glow Run was another wonderful event that we had. It was right towards the end of the school year in December, where students got to kind of go through this whole like techno experience in the gymnasium, where they got to run with all the lights off and all black lights. And we have Cosmic Bowling coming up. That's going to be similar themed in March.
Oh, cool.
I can tell you this is one of the highlights of my.
I went to it, and I think it was the pre-K kids. Oh my God, they were so adorable.
Oh,
They just did not stop running and running and running, and I was like, whoa.
We got an infinite energy. I really wanted to highlight kind of the building and grounds crew in the holiday cheer
So
spirit
cute.
week, because they came to my office and were like, so we just wanted to know, is it okay if we dress up for the last day of school and stand outside? It was so cute that we had these adults that
that's
asking that,
awesome.
and it ended up, it's just 2 of them, and it ended up being 4 of them, and the kids loved coming off the bus and taking pictures with them. It was just a great way to wrap up the week. We had the Harlem Wizards here recently, and I just took with my phone, just a quick video of how the kids were celebrating with them at the end. But that was such a great experience. They were hilarious. Minus forecasting got injured, but, you know, you were a good sport. Now it's time for me to talk about kind of where I envision we're going pre-K through 3 with Better Lesson. So the focus areas that I was targeting, that I'm going to be targeting with my coach are differentiation, small group instruction, using data, and having routine and procedures. The goal is how are we going to dig deep looking into how we are we're going to dig deep into how we're looking at our learning objectives, because we really want to prioritize grade level content and make it really visible to students, that they are understanding what they are learning and the purpose behind it. Okay, and now it is time to reveal some of our literacy and math data. This all from our NWA scores. In kindergarten math, 66% of students are either at or above grade level. If you've never seen this tool before, the orange and red indicate low, average, and low. So this would be below grade level, and all the other 3 colors would be either at or above. In ELA, 56% of students are at or above grade level, which has been a 3% increase since the fall. In first grade, there's a drop where only 34% of students are at or above grade level. You can see the same thing in ELA, where only 37% of the students are at or above grade level. In grade 2, 39% of students are at or above grade level. And in ELA, only 29% of students are at or above grade level. In grade 3 in math, 58% of students have scored at or above grade level, which is an increase of 13% since the fall. And 61% of students are at or above grade level, which has been a 5% increase since the fall. So some highlights is that 61% of third graders are on track in ELA, 66% of kindergartners are on track in mathematics, and 58% of students in third grade are on track in ELA. I still feel like these numbers could be better. And I feel like that's where I really want Better Lesson to come into play. So I wanted to just have this quote here, it's from Mahatma Gandhi, that the difference between what we do and what we are capable of doing would suffice to solve most of the world's problems. So I think that we're doing amazing things, and I just think with the right targeted focus and instruction, we can really do things that are absolutely astounding. So we realize that we need to kind of take a deeper dive into what, especially when we're seeing numbers like in the 30s. So I've been working on norming how we're analyzing data and using it to inform our instruction. I've been conducting MTSS meetings where we work as a committee to aggregate the data and identify how are areas that we need to teach more explicitly on the different grade levels. We then identify the lowest 15% of students within each grade level so that we can create SMART goals for them that are tracked over a course of 8 weeks. We determine at that point whether or not those targeted goals have made a positive impact or not. If not, we need to reset and refocus, or we can move them back into back through the tiers of the classroom. So we're working to identify progress monitoring tools to track student academic progress, because right now we have a lot of classroom data, but it's not streamlined. So we have 3 baseline data screenings, but we really need to make sure that we have screenings that are helping track what's happening with students between those 3 times that they're getting assessed with baseline screeners throughout the year. An additional program that was being developed was SHARP for first grade students, and we're going to be learning more about that in time to come. So targeted supports for how we're trying to increase and better kind of the structure of academics is by using Better Lesson, MTSS. We've also had RPC come into our school. They've been reviewing the co-teaching models that are being utilized by our teachers. We've been having observations from administration with both formal and informal class visits. And a tool that I use when in the observations is something known as a low inference transcript to really provide evidence-based feedback to teachers without any bias of what I'm seeing. That we're really using what is exactly happening that could be seen, heard, and using that to inform how the lesson went overall.
So I have one question. The testing that you're basing the percentage up and down, when was the first test and when was the second test?
From the fall to the winter?
Yeah, so it's only like 3 months, is that, so that's the growth, it's just a three-month timeframe, okay.
Yes. So, yeah, in September, and then it was just taken again in January.
Okay,
And actually, the window closes on Friday, but almost all the students have taken it at this point.
okay, thanks. That's all I got. Anybody got any questions?
And what's that test?
NWEA. That's what we're currently using.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we're going to move on to grades 4 through 6. And the most important thing is attendance because students aren't going to be able to learn if they aren't here. So again, we also had a spike in January, and I would agree with Laura. We did have a lot of children that were sick, and it's really nice to see that it has improved dramatically in February. I can mention now, I can go back to it if you want, but one of the things that we are doing with attendance district-wide is, making the phone calls, trying to meet with parents, and I actually am now going with Veronica Burley, who is one of our school psychologists, and she does home visits. So on Wednesdays after school, we've been going to different homes. And we have seen a real positive trend with the specific kids that we have reached out to the parents. And they were all very complicated situations in many respects. But I did tell this one parent, because we've got like 5 students in this one pickup, this one house, it's 5 kids that, we could get. And I said to her, if there's an issue, we can help, but I can only pick them up once because then I'm gonna get in trouble with Bobby Joe. So Veronica and I went out on Friday, or no, it was Monday, and picked them up. They were waiting, they live in the garden apartment, so it was only a few minutes out of the way. And we were able to scoop up 5 kids and get them to school. I did have a follow-up conversation with Mom about the fact that as much as I love to help, I honestly can't keep doing it, but it was really a good thing because she did reach out. And sometimes they're angry, sometimes, they're defensive. There wasn't any of that. So I was really happy to see that. So here we go. This is how we're handling it. One of the things in 4th through 6th grade that we've been doing it's teacher-led, which I'm so happy to see that, is in the mornings. Actually, tomorrow we have a meeting at 7:20. Teachers said, hey, can we come in early? And I was like, yes. So we'll be there at 7:20 for this meeting with parents to discuss a variety of concerns, but really absenteeism being the #1 issue. And we are meeting in the afternoon. So just about every day at 2:50, I have a meeting with a team of teachers and a parent. And they've been really positive because we don't want to set the tone of we're just coming after you, why isn't your child in school? So they kind of do that sandwich effect where they do a positive, then the concern, then another positive thing about the child. So far so good, because I have noticed an improvement in things. One of the things that we are required to do are attendance letters, so those go home. Sometimes people call and they give you a variety of doctor's notes because they say, oh, I didn't realize I was supposed to, let you know where the child was, which is kind of strange, but it does happen. But then other people might get a little defensive, but it's okay because we can still have a conversation with them about the importance of being in school. And again, these are the outcomes we're seeing so far from those home visits, that we are definitely increasing the homeschool connection. We have gotten some people, we're fortunate enough here, we have the Mental Health Association, and then we also have Berkshire. So these are the two agencies that you guys support, and we are able to get those into different homes. So one, Mental Health Association obviously deals with people who might need more supports, more doctor's appointments, more of a therapeutic approach. And Berkshire, although they can help get those services in place, they also do a really good job of getting into the home and saying, okay, let's get a system in place so that we can actually get the kids up and ready for school. And sometimes they're simple things. Like I just got an alarm clock for the family of 5 and said, because she said, Perry, who is adorable, he's a kindergartner, he gets up first in the morning and then he turns her phone off, the alarm on her phone, and goes back to playing. So the 5-year-old is apparently running, the entire household. So I got her an alarm clock, so now they put the alarm clock in the living room. And that's what I told them. I said, my mother used to put it across my bedroom so I didn't have to get up. So we did that. And it's been like 2 days, I think they've been here. So far, so good. And again, all of that increases family engagement and the idea that they're willing to work with us. So here are the referrals. It really hasn't been bad. November was a little hectic, but for the most part, things have been very steady. 4th, 5th, 6th grade, we've got veteran teachers. They know how to handle the students. The expectations are very clear. We talk about restorative justice, and it is definitely a good thing, because I try to think of it as, or describe it as, that's the learning part of discipline. So when you call somebody a name based on their religion, let's learn why you shouldn't do that, why it's not okay. I mean, they're children. If they don't learn, they're never going to get it, and the behavior will continue. So there's that part of it, but there also has to be a consequence as well, and that is the discipline part of it. So we're meeting them at both ends, and I think it's been pretty effective. So here are the offenses that we see the most of, and obviously lying to me is number 1. Insubordination gets in there, and we had one incident with 2 students vaping. Oh no, but it was the one student. Actually, the first time we had the vaping conversation was when he was 9. So he was like, it wasn't me. It absolutely was you. But we are very fortunate to have the technology that we have, so we can just get them like that. It was actually Kathleen called me and said, hey, the vape sensor went off down by you, and then we were able to figure out who they were. The one kid just folded like a house of cards, told me everything, and then I went to the guy that enjoys vaping. So this is what we're looking at, of course. And cyberbullying is just a constant, ongoing drama, and we do bring parents in. We try to make suggestions to parents that perhaps the child shouldn't have a phone at this time. It doesn't typically work, but we are trying. So once you get to 3rd grade, now you have an opportunity to stay after for a variety of clubs and activities. So these are the things that are offered. Brittany Hay is a teaching assistant. She is a wonderful human being. She has actually broken up her Harvest Club so that she could do 3rd and 4th grade, 5th and 6th grade. She did the same with the student council as well, because they are at, that should say 3rd and 4th grade for student council, sorry. But they're at different points, so she meets them where they're at. Animal Club, that is something that Karen Regina runs, and they absolutely love it. They're always doing something fun. And our ski club is, I think we have 65 kids in it. So when it's time for skiing, you'll see like the tiniest little snowboards coming in. I thought one was like a Barbie snowboard. It's ridiculous, but they're there, and they love it. A lot of the parents actually meet them at Catamount, and it's wonderful because, again, It's something local. They're
It's our
outside, they're getting
community
fresh
too,
air.
right?
Exactly, exactly. So it's great that it's so well attended. And Alyssa Kipnis does a wonderful job with that. And we also have a variety of teachers that volunteer their time every week. And it's not like they're just, skiing down the mountains. There's 65 kids that are, they're helping them get their equipment on and everything else. And then the running club will be coming up in the spring. Colleen Romero does that. And that's another one that is very well attended. So here are some of the highlights that we've done 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Dancescapes, which coincided with a field trip to Olana. So they were really excited once they got to the actual dancing because they were able to connect it to Olana and everything that they saw there. We've had our concerts. We're going to have a 3rd and 4th grade concert and our show soon. And the Museum of Innovation and Science, they all seem to love it. It's in Schenectady. And that's kind of where they want to be. So here's just, and also we have some amazing counselors who are always doing the hats, the gloves, and people are so generous. And there's one of our art shows. But there's, Audrey, that's right. Do you see she came back? She has her little visitor. So here's what we're doing in the grade levels. I didn't include the math and ELA data because our window didn't close it doesn't close until Friday. And we don't have it completed. I didn't want to give you a false sense of things. So here are just some of the things that they're doing in these grade levels. So it's some pretty intense stuff. Factoring, prime numbers. Prime has the multiplying and dividing fractions. So when by the time you get to 4th grade, the curriculum can be quite strenuous. So one of the things that we have done this year is we are doing data meetings together. 4th, 5th, and 6th grade are monthly doing data meetings. Sandra has been very helpful. Sean Rao has been very helpful. We started by gathering the data, looking at our test scores, looking at our NWEA results. And we brought everybody in the room together because sometimes you hear like, well, 4th grade doesn't do this. If they would teach this in 5th grade, well, let's get together and figure it out. So we got together, we looked at the data. Now we are at a point where we are still in the same room. We start together, but we are breaking out so that, what's it do? So that we've got half math and half ELA. So they are doing an item analysis of different questions to see what went well, what didn't, and how we can figure it out to improve test scores and to improve overall student learning. And it connects really well with our better lesson goal. So we have a group goal for grades 4, 5, and 6. And it came about just through discussions that when a child goes, and again, we're looking at the state assessment, when a student sits down to take the state assessment, the vocabulary that, the question, what it is they're supposed to do, that vocabulary can be confusing. But if we actually break the vocabulary down, we use those words throughout math, science, social studies, English. And Christine Riffenberg brought up my favorite example, which is she was telling the kids they needed to look at the relationship between 2 different ecosystems. So what is a relationship? So what we're trying to work on is to devise and align vocabulary so that everybody is using the same vocabulary and we're building on it, right? So we're creating that foundation, and we could go all the way down to pre-K, which Laura's been coming to the meetings, and we've been figuring things out back and forth as to how we could do this. But if we start and build that foundational vocabulary, it won't be so overwhelming when they get older. Is that my last slide? Yeah? Okay, all right, well, that's it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I have a question for
Yeah.
you. So the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade NWEA data that wasn't reported, was that following a similar trend to the pre-K through third at not meeting grade level? I know
There
the
are,
Okay.
yeah, there
Yeah.
are going to be some that are not meeting grade
Okay.
level, yes.
Percentage as great or as small as?
I don't know what the
No,
percentage is at
okay.
this
It's
time.
closed,
I, we
okay.
have, it hasn't closed, we haven't reviewed it yet. But I can certainly get it to you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else?
Yeah, do you have the attendance, the overall attendance for fourth, fifth, and sixth, the percentage?
I don't have the percentage. But I thought I had, did I have the days?
I mean, that had numbers on there, but I don't know how
It
many,
did.
I don't know how many kids there are, so I have no clue what that, yeah.
So, yes, it just told the date, the number of
Okay.
students per grade level. But, you know, again, I can get that information for you. So for example, sixth grade has 90 kids. So the good news is that we have only had 38 absences in February, but the problem is we had 151 absences in January.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Thank you.
Thanks. I don't know. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. We're here tonight, Catherine and I, to do a presentation on behalf of Lisa, who is having surgery. Tonight, we're going to talk about very similar things that you have already heard about today. We're going to talk about attendance, discipline data. We're going to look at some events that have occurred this year. We're going to talk about better lessons. We're going to look at academic goals and progress of the different grade levels, as well as how we collaborate, and we're going to give you some highlights. So attendance data. As everybody seems to have seen so far, we have had an uptick in January. One of the things that you should know about the high school, grades 7 through 12, is that for a week or so, 4 days towards the end of January, we did have midterms and regents exams, where we did see a difference in our attendance on a daily basis. We also want to point out that we have had 2-hour delays, which does sometimes affect some of our upperclassmen in driving and things like that. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at that data.
So pretty similar to what other administrators had already mentioned, calling home for students that are chronically absent, going over the reasons as to why. Some of them have to babysit younger siblings. They didn't have a ride and they missed the bus. They're sick and they're not getting to the doctor, so sometimes that prolongs that. And I think the two things of when they come back that's been important is celebrating that they're back, kind of like, not like, oh man, where were you? But, oh, it's so good to see you. You know, we missed you. And then making a plan. I have conversations with kids a lot. They come in and they feel overwhelmed. And they already feel like, okay, now I'm a week behind, so like, what's the point? I might as well just give up. So making a plan with them, making a plan with the teacher as to how they're going to catch up. Maybe the teacher's going to give them a little extra time, and then they don't feel so defeated, and they're more likely to get back on track.
For discipline data, this is 7 through 12 discipline data. So that is why we have bigger numbers than what you've seen earlier, because it is the huger, or 400 and some odd students. You can see from this data that we did have some upticks. Some of the times where we do have higher discipline is before vacations. We do tend to see some upsweeps. Also, you know, moon cycles do affect it as well. Keep in mind that with this data, we also see some trends when we have student-teacher absences. We do see students having more discipline referrals when there's a substitute in the classroom. Included in this data are some recent changes in some students' programs. There has been some transitioning of students to different programs. That data, their discipline data is included here. One of the other things that we have seen is as students adapt to their new environment or adapt to their new classroom and program, there is some growing pains. And so there has been some discipline referrals due to that. So we can get everybody on the same page and have their working and learning environments similar.
So how ours kind of breaks down, a lot of my referrals that I deal with, and I think Darby has a few, but I think more in the high school, is the kids that are just trying to skip class, chronically late to class. Not as many of the did not abide by school rules or disruption of education. And then I would say about half of them are the arguing or aggression towards others, inappropriate language, insubordination, horseplay, and then the discrimination or harassment, which also covers like our DASA referrals. So that makes up about half of our referrals.
So disposition. So this is where these are obviously students are getting consequences for behaviors, but we're also instituting restorative practices and within our discipline measures. We are handling discipline. There are top couple of dispositions, as you can see, the lunch detention, ASP, boarding, counseling. And then if you look at the bottom, there's a whole bunch of different other things. One of the things that I want to point out is that we do work with IT, we work with the cafeteria, and we work with the transportation department when referrals are dealing with those departments. We come to some conclusions on what we would like to see, both from that department and from our perspective as well. So it is a collaborative effort with them, so just to keep that in mind. One of the things that we do is we do discipline with students with disabilities. We do notify CSE, so they are aware of what is going on. Most importantly, with dispositions, we do notify parents and have parent and guardian involvement. Now that actually starts right at the referral writing process, because when a teacher writes a referral, they are to call home and discuss the incident with the parents one-on-one in real live time, so they know exactly what happened, or parents know exactly what happened in their classroom. As a follow-up, we do for some of the disciplines also call home, Kathleen and I, and talk to the parents, and again, reach out to them to let them know what the results are and what we're doing moving forward. Things to also keep in mind is when we have counseling, we do include, yes, all of our counseling department, but we also do some outside referrals. And one of the things that's different from what you've heard already tonight is that we also have access to Twin Counties. And through Twin Counties, we can refer students there. One of the things that I've done, and I'm sure Kathleen has done as well, is refer students out for vaping. We have seen a bunch of middle school students vaping. So we do have Twin Counties coming in. They do come in every Tuesday. And they meet with a variety of students that we have given them, as well as for other reasons as well.
And I think a positive, like we were talking about, like one of the things we do with the counseling aspect, a positive, we've seen a lot less of the physical altercations this year. We haven't had the fights like there has been in the past. And I think that that also speaks to the amount of time that we spend just meeting with students as soon as we hear about issues. Counseling department's always involved. And I think Darby and I have spent so much time working with students to prevent those that I think that's why we're not seeing as many of those physical altercations this year. I think that's a big positive to point out.
We do like to try to get ahead of this. You know, this helps us out later on. One last thing I want to point out is, so when we do give students in-school suspension, we have instituted, and this is just new for quarter 2 or semester 2 rather, is a documentation process when a student enters in, and it's basically the rules that they're signing to about not using their phone, about doing and completing work, about making sure that the teacher is going to check the work that's in the class in the room at the time. So it's giving them a little bit more of a responsibility that you need to do things and accomplish things while you are here today.
Do you find that the students like being held accountable like that?
Come on.
I'm just saying that I think sometimes
it works
having
very well.
rules.
It works very well for students, and it also works very well to help teachers with the follow through of the student behavior. It's a mixed bag sometimes. To be
Yeah, I
honest.
know. They're teenagers.
I have a couple of students that like ASP. They feel like it's quiet, it's structured. I stay out of my drama. I get my work done. So there are a couple of kids that actually they kind of thrive in there when they're in there for that disposition. So some things this year, up here we had like a welcome back board. We had some like selfie stations around the school so kids could like try to show some excitement for coming back. Student council, they put up some signs around the building. There's not a picture, but there was stickies on all of the kids' lockers that were just like positive reinforcements, like you got this and have a great year. There's a board right by the office that has like different pictures from the Titan Strongs that are given out on Fridays. So just some positive things around the school to kind of boost morale.
Other things that we are doing is we have had, thanks to Lisa and Kevin, Lee Roussan come in. He was a former football player. He spoke to the middle school students, so grades 7 and 8, basically about resilience and anti-bullying, and it was very well received by our students.
In the library, I don't know if you have a chance to get in there, but there's some amazing things that happen.
They do great stuff.
They always have boards out front, like different things. Like right now, they have a board of different African Americans and like what they've accomplished. So like that keeps changing. They have one, this little board that's out front that has like a joke every day and like a what if situation that the kids always are checking out. There was like an Instagram page of like Taconic Hills Sleeps. So they did like a, try to like switch up on that and do Taconic Hills Reads. So when they catch kids reading in the library, they're taking pictures. They go in there during their work halls and they do like these word games. There's lots of puzzles. There's just so much like great things that are happening in there. I don't think there was like a turkey one too. The kids all decorated turkeys and then they made a Landon's Corner in the corner of the library. So just some wonderful things happening in there this year.
We also had the opportunity to have Duncan Kirkwood come in. Duncan Kirkwood did 2 assemblies for us, one for our 7th and 8th grade and one for our 9th through 12 students. The focus of his message this year is actually his pledge, but the focus of his message were called the 3 Ps, and that is perseverance, passion, and purpose. With this, he also has written a book called Rerouting Resilience Tools and Tactics. And one of the things that you have done is you have purchased some of these books for ASP. So when we talk about restorative practices, we're going to do some restorative assignments from this book. I know for the 7th and 8th grade, one of the things that we're also doing, and we'll learn more about this in a minute, but we do town halls. And this past town hall that we had last week for 7th and 8th grade, we also built it upon the 3 Ps and his pledge. And we're going to continue to weave him into our town halls and his message, because there is great purpose with it. But there's also, I think, from my perspective, and I believe from Lisa's perspective and Kathleen, that we can't just have a one and done. We need to have it continue on so we can actually have our students really develop and get themselves involved in the message.
We had some music performances. We had a couple of music performances around Christmas in December that we also sent chorus and band to all county recently. So we've had a lot of happening in the music department, and next month they have Oklahoma coming up. So very. We also, I think some other people had touched on it, but we had the Wizards come and actually came to our pep rally. The pep rally had been moved to right before December break. So one of them came in, they got everybody going. It was a lot of fun. So that was a really positive experience for the students.
Some other appreciations, as you can see, we did the Apple Bar. That was a district-wide initiative that was well received by everybody. At Christmas time, the 7 through 12 faculty did a white elephant gift exchange during our faculty meeting on the superintendent's conference day. We also did a place that quote game, just to make it a little bit more fun, because people were here that day, and it was, we did do some work too. Okay, just so you know. Yesterday we did a rock, paper, scissors tournament. Holly Van Tassel was our champion. out of the 7 through 12 faculty. One of the things that we did as an administrative team for the 7 through 12 faculty is we had little celebrations throughout the month of October. So there was a National Ramen Noodle Day where we had a tower of ramen noodles that were given away to faculty. We had a putt-putt hole-in-one day. And there was an M&M giveaway day because it was National M&M Day. Don't forget, it's in October. In the library, one of the things that the library has organized by Erica Shook, she has done the charcuterie boards. She has had appetizer competitions as well as soup du jour competitions. So we can't wait to see what's coming up there. Another event that we have had was the middle school dance, and that was the winter ball.
So there was a New Visions presentation recently. New Visions is a one-year honors level program. For about 3.5 hours a day, students learn and explore through mentoring, internships, interactions with professionals. They can earn 4 academic credits, including ones for English and social studies, and then 2 electives that they choose. Our student, Dacia Nunez, presented with her team about how school can support a multicultural club. The team did surveys of students in the Cuesta region to find out more. So I think Lisa was able to go to that presentation. She said it was really powerful. And it's just great to see some of our Taconic Hill students doing such wonderful things. These are some academic picks. This was an English class. There was some writing that was being displayed. This one was interesting for midterms. A bunch of students in Algebra 2 pulled a bunch of desks out in the hallway and had a little impromptu study session right there in the atrium. So that was kind of cool to see students taking initiative on their academics independently.
The care closet. So our counseling staff has taken this on as their baby. It used to be the hygiene closet, which was just, the hygiene products, but now it has morphed into bigger and more wonderful things, and it is open for every student at Taconic Hills. We not only have clothes, we have school supplies, and of course the standard hygiene products, because we always need them. Our social workers have taken some to organizing it. It is great. If you know where the social work suite is, you can go check it out. There's a ton of stuff, and it has come in very handy when students are outside sleigh riding and they get wet and dirty.
So I know you've heard a little bit about Better Lessons. We have 10 teachers across the 7-12 grade bands that have been asked to participate. They are receiving one-to-one coaching support. And some of the goals that we're looking at for that is to increase our graduation rate, focus on improving the student mental health and well-being, increase that student engagement. So talking about different lessons that get students more engaged, which leads to that increased graduation rate and improved mental health, and improve our testing preparation. So one of the things we were talking about is just how can we help kids better prepare for those Regents exams like ELA and math. So that's what we've been focusing on for our Better Lessons.
So you have seen these before. These are the goals that actually at the beginning of the year, every department and grade level meets a goal for the year. These are led by our content coordinators to develop these goals, and they are to be a year-long goal. Some groups choose to focus on others choose SEL goals. So you can see that there's a variety of a bunch of different things going on. Do you want to talk about the math?
Sure. So math, their goal was talking about they're preparing for the next gen standards. I know a lot of them are, they have the freshmen coming in, they have algebra exams. So a lot of them are focused on that, improving the Regents exam rates for the Algebra 1 exam.
Just to keep in mind, math has gone through some changes. We have changed a couple of things around this year and going forward. Realize that previously geometry used to be before algebra, but now through test scores, we've realized that that needs to be changed. So Algebra 1 is first in the sequence, and the goal for that is to improve the test scores. Do you want to show them all? There's more. Thumbs up if you're good. All right. Okay, so middle school team meeting. So this year for 7th and 8th grade, we do have a lot of time where the teacher teams can meet. It's primarily the core teachers with their special education teacher. However, we are able to, on different days, have the AIS teacher come to some of the meetings, and on other days have student success, Josh Piper, attend the meetings. At these meetings, we have this semester, we've changed a couple of things around with the meeting and made it a little bit more structured and focused so we can see the success. Before, it was focused, but we couldn't actually determine the success of the meetings and student growth. So hopefully with these new changes that we've implemented, we will see more of a significance of a change. I just want to highlight a couple of things. So on Tuesday, as you can see, it's a data review. This is also where the teachers are going to call students in to conference with them to say, hey, this is where you're at with your grades. This is where you're going. This is what we need to do to get there. So it's going to have some of those one-on-one, well, not one, but 1-on-5 conferences with the students and the teachers. The other thing I want to point out is for Wednesday, realize that you can only review some of that data so much because once you review NWEA at this time, then you don't have any other NWEA to review until you get another set of scores. State tests they've already done review on, so teachers are doing data goal work with their individual classwork, testing and assessments that they give. The other thing that they're doing is each team has created a goal for their team for the year. So for example, the 7th grade, their goal is to have a 90% passing rate in the 4 core classes. 8th grade, their goal is to have an 89% passing rate in their 4 classes. We also, I want to point out for the Thursday learning targets and best practices, what we also determined at our superintendent's conference day in December is that there are some skills that we really want to see our 7th graders as well as our 8th graders possess by the time they leave. So the teachers talked, they came up with a list of different things. Some of the skills that the 7th and 8th grade team want their students to possess by the end of the year is things like conflict resolution, self-regulation, those good old executive functioning skills that we always can be working on and improving on. But it's interesting to note that they're also looking at vocabulary. So you can see a trend in vocabulary starting in pre-K through 12. And that is our vertical alignment. And hopefully we'll have more of that as we move forward. So this here shared on OneNote. So many of you are familiar with Microsoft 365 now. John Dodds helped me out last year, and we started to fiddle around with OneNote. So I actually put it into practice this year, and that's actually where we're keeping all of the data and information for these team meetings. It's really like a nice little binder, but on a computer. So instead of having a Google Sheet for this, a Google Doc for that, send this out, it's all going to be in one central location. And it has been well received. I've only found a couple of things deleted, but that's okay. I put them back in. The best part about it is that it's both 7th and 8th grade in the one document. And so they can see what they're doing. They can see what 7th grade is doing and the 8th. So it's really lends to that collaboration, even though they can't meet together, they can see what's going on. The other thing that we do have in the OneNote is a tab for resources. And under resources, we have things like our town hall PowerPoint. So both teams know what's going to come up at the town hall that we're going to have. I put in the data, but then I work with the team and we come up with what's going to happen, how are we going to have our small group breakouts? What are we going to do? And the teachers are very involved in doing that. We also have our tier 2 vocabulary words listed there, our L resources, as well as some of our state exam dates. And again, like I said, this is going to give us an area to have consistency and hopefully help us move forward. That is going to benefit our students as well as our teachers in the months to come. So 7th grade academics, so quarter 1 to quarter 2, you can see that there is a little improvement, but you can also see a little decrease. But what this is not showing you is that we went from having about 8 kids in quarter 1 failing 2 or more classes down to 5 failing 2 or more classes. So we're seeing growth, we're seeing movement on that goal, and hopefully we'll continue to see the trend as we move forward. 8th grade, you can see that there is a change. We dropped from 49% of our students having 90 to 100 average in their class down to 42%. But again, I want to point out that we have changed down to having 33 students failing 2 or more classes. 8th grade has a little bit more work, but one of the things that I have to point out to you is they do also have more academics. So they also have Spanish 1 as well as a CT class. And both of those are going to be high school credit. So those are ones that are going to be transcripted by the end of the year. So that's something else to keep in mind.
As we move into 9th grade, very similar to like what Darby was saying, a lot of the numbers don't change too much. We did have a few kids that dropped out of that blue in the 90 to 100. Just some things more specific within that grade level. Global history, they had 21% of their students failing. They brought that down to 19. So they had a couple of kids they were able to bring out of that failing. Same with algebra, they were at 15. They were able to bring that to 14. English 16. So they're making some progress. They're making some strides. I think for 9th grade, it's a very big year that 8th grade to 9th grade, we're taking Regents levels, the expectation. Sometimes the 9th graders think that they're, really cool now that they're in high school, and, it's a big transition. So I think that 9th grade team is really hard, and they meet much like the 7th and 8th grade team. They meet every day to discuss students and work on what can we do to help those 9th graders with that transition. 10th grade, some positives for them. They were able, for Global 10, they had 27% of their students failing. They brought that down to 16. So they were making some really big strides with Global 10, which is another big Regents class. They have that Global 10 Regents at the end of the year. Sorry, 10th grade is also working really well. I had a lot of conversations with them. They're really good at communicating home. So I think that piece really helps with them bringing some of those grades up. 11th grade, they all took the Regents exam in January. I think it's really exciting to say we only have 5 kids that are going to now need to take that Regents exam in June. So that just shows the amount of work that's been put in by the ELA department to get that many kids to passing the Regents exam early. And what that also does is allows those kids to then focus on U.S. history, which is a big Regents exam at the end of 11th. So I thought that was a really big positive for the 11th grade team. And for 12th, very similar numbers from quarter 1 to quarter 2. It's definitely worth noting that 100% of the kids in ELA were passing. So a lot of them are taking like elective classes and things that are more interesting now that they've passed that ELA exam in 11. So you see that interest level really play a big role in kids passing. They're also looking to see more activity with the PIG and econ classes and trying to get kids more involved. I've spoken with Laura a couple times about trying to use our kids that need those PIG hours. Some ways to report out that they had 100% pass rate for the first half of the year. So you don't have any of those kids that have to repeat and they can take other classes. That's the overall for the 7-12.
So student interventions to improve performance. How are we helping our students do better? So there's lots of things that we are doing. A couple of things to highlight that are up here is that we're treating each student that they each have a different pathway. Not everybody is the same. We need to figure out what's best for them. We're working with teachers, administrators, and families and creating different plans. You're using our counseling team to promote and help our social emotional needs and ensure that they are being met. We are making sure AIS is in student schedules for those who need it. And also we're having at-risk meetings, we're having team meetings. The other things we're doing are grade book checks. So every 2 weeks, we check, the administrators check the teachers' grade books to see where they're at, what their grades are, what's the percentages in the grade book. And, you know, Lisa will send out an email to teachers to say, hey, you're missing a certain percent. Also, don't forget the board policy. You need to have more than one grade. One grade can't count 20% of an average. So make sure you have more assignments in there or more tests or quizzes. We're also trying to look at Google Classroom. We're trying to make sure students understand that it is a tool to education and not to be a distraction from it. The other things is that we add services when students need extra services, and we also are meeting with individual students and doing some goal setting with them. Laying out a plan. So here's your plan. This is what you want to do. You want to pass all your classes. Well, how are we going to get there? What are we going to do? And we have these meetings with students that we know are at risk, and we want to make sure they're successful and make it to that next grade.
So thinking about our seniors, we have 89 students currently in 12th grade. 6 are at risk of not graduating. That list has been circulated through the counseling department, through the admin team, and we are meeting with those students. The counselors have bi-weekly meetings with those students. We've also been doing some creative scheduling, trying to get some teachers that might have room in their schedules to do some academic support to help those students boost up some of those grades that are not passing. So we're having parent meetings, teacher meetings, there's calls home. We're working with the CSE office to come up with creative coursework that falls under that umbrella. Weekly checks, so in that grade book check, we also just know those kids that are having issues and making sure we're keeping up with their grades. And the bi-weekly checks, like Darby had mentioned, we check grade books every 2 weeks. We make sure that they're up to date. If they're not up to date, a kid doesn't know where they're standing. So we're making sure that the student and the teachers are being held accountable for student success. And then these are some other student opportunities. We talked about New Visions previously. We have 2 students at Bard, 45 are enrolled at Questar. Those are 11th and 12th graders eligible to go. 38 students are in AP classes, 71 in Columbia Green classes, 23 students participating in distance learning. We had 1 student that was looking to drop out. We were able to come up with a creative plan to do a GED program at Questar. So he kind of has that different pathway that we talked about that just wasn't going to work out for him, but we didn't want to just let him loose without some sort of plan. And then we have some homebound tutoring for students that are out for medical reasons.
In order to ensure our students do well, we need to support our staff as well as each other. So teamwork is vital. We're using teamwork at the secondary level. Our administrative team meets weekly to discuss what's going on and what's coming up in the next week. We have a counseling team meeting, 7th through 12th counselors meet every Monday for about an hour or so. We review students and caseloads, what their needs are, and what we can also help do that we might not be doing. Curriculum, this is an ongoing communication between Sandra and the administrators. We want to make sure that we are providing the best curriculum for our students. And the best way to do this is to look at the data and to see what we need to do to help our students and staff grow. And lastly, we also talked to the PPS department. We've been very involved in here and going there and helping support our students with disabilities be successful in their own path.
And then just some overall highlights for secondary. I already mentioned about the juniors town halls that Darby had talked a little bit about. We've already started the process for course selection for next year. Teacher surveys have been sent out to find out preferences on what they would like to teach. I mentioned Oklahoma. Our jazz ensemble also participated in the All-County Festival. 4 students were selected by the faculty and staff for their leadership to represent Taconic Hills at the Columbia County Leadership Dinner in May. Those students are Neil Howard III, Dacia Nunez, Emma Miller, and Hudson Harrington. So that's a big positive for the secondary school. Monthly staff student celebrations in the library, which we touched on a little bit, the Harlem Wizards game. We started the middle school out with a leadership team building day, which I think was really well received by the staff and the students. And working with transportation to provide 23 field trip experiences for students in grades 7 through 12. So that's tomorrow.
Okay.
Did you guys have any questions for us?
That sounds great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I just
I'm
want
gonna just turn the light on. It's been killing my eyes.
I just want to thank,
Thank you.
so for my report, I just want to thank our team, the work that they've done. They've worked really hard and been very committed, and really been working with me. Everybody meets with me every other week, and they've worked together collaboratively. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight and sharing so many celebrations and the work that's happening at the building level with everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you.
So that's a lot of information. I do have actually a couple more.
Oh, yes, me too.
Couple more celebrations. Just want to let everybody know that I wanted to thank you out to Mr. Russell and Ms. Miller for the All County Jazz Festival that our students were able to participate in last week. And so far for our pre-K registrations, we've received 39 pre-K students already have signed up. Everyone in kindergarten is moving up.
That's awesome.
We had our Frank Krause Gymnasium dedication on February 9th, which was a wonderful celebration, and it was a great opportunity for everybody to come together. We celebrated National School Counseling Week last week and honored and recognized those clinical team members. I know that on our agenda, we have a couple retirements, so I won't announce that yet, except to say that these are people that have brought amazing assets to the district and will definitely be missed, and we wish them the very best. And yesterday was the 100th day of school that was celebrated. And next week, on Thursday, February 22nd, it is National School Bus Driver Appreciation Day. Our bus drivers won't be here for that. So since they won't be here, Bobby Joe held a lunch today to appreciate the drivers, and administration signed a card for the Mike Johnston drivers, and we also created certificates of appreciation for all of our drivers here at Taconic Hills. And then I'll just end with, every month I get to meet with the journalism class. They put together questions, and then we sit in here and we have a conversation. And I love it because they are the ones creating the questions, and it's about things that they are interested in. So today we had a really great conversation about cell phones for younger students versus older students, and instruction, and wanting to be really engaged in their learning and being a part of having conversations. So that was really enjoyable and great. That's what I have. Thank you.
Okay. There's no student liaison report. Budget committee report. Kevin's not here. I can read this. Budget committee reviewed foundation aid formula as well as the governor's executive proposal. The budget committee is finalizing review of budget initiatives for 24-25 and will be working with Ashley and Lynette on purchasing smaller items with current year funds. Proposed maximum tax levy, which will be presented tonight. The committee will work with the full board on evaluating possible use of reserves toward budget for 24-25. The first budget workshop will be held on March 6th, and we will be continuing this discussion as well as reviewing department budget. Okay. Board of Education report. Anything?
Yes, I read to the second graders. They were adorable. It was Miss Delaney's class. I went to many JV and some varsity basketball games. The season is over. I heard we ended, the varsity boys ended with a really amazing game beating Chatham at Chatham by a few points.
Is it Chatham?
I believe so. This is what I heard. I missed that game, but I think that's big. And I went to the gym.
Life is good sometimes. I just want you to know that.
That might be the best news of the evening.
That is phenomenal, and I wish I was there, so I could have danced on their court.
I know, I'm really mad I missed that, because I was at a killer game there before. And after I read to the second graders, I just wanted to say I was looking at the library displays. They're really beautiful. And there's a 5th grade bakery display, art class, pieces of pies and cakes. It was so stunning. I think they were like ceramic and the glazes, and it was really nice. Yeah.
Okay. Ron?
I went to Frank Shaw's. That was nice, very nice, well done, good speeches, the whole 9 yards. Frank Shaw's was a great guy, 55 years, says it all. And, you know, longer than most marriages, so it's great.
Molly, anything? Joe?
No.
Heidi?
What have I done? I went to a modified basketball, boys basketball. Alicia was kind enough to get daffodils for all of the social workers and school psychiatrists, which we handed out last week.
That's cool.
And then we went to the Greens on Friday night.
Well, I didn't have it on my list. That's a good one too.
That was really nice.
It was nice.
Alicia?
Yes,
I went
you
to
did
the
too.
Harlem Wizards game, which I think was in the last month, and the gym dedication and the dinner and the daffodils.
So I went to everything, the Frank Jaws and the Greens as well. The only other thing I did was we went to Lobby Day. Rick's not here to talk about that. And we met, Lynette, Rick and I went, and we kind of went around with Questar originally, because we did make 2 appointments with our legislators, which is Beatty Barrett and Michelle Hinchy, and that wasn't until like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So we palled around with Questar, who went around to these legislators that don't necessarily represent us, but it was a nice opportunity to see how to do this, right? So I think we were with Averill Park, New Lebanon, Carroll Durham, East Greenbush, which I'll get to him in a minute, but he was quiet until the end. But all of these school districts are losing a lot. I mean, New Lebanon's losing $1 million, Carroll Durham's like 800,000, and he was saying he was going to have to cut through 33 teachers if this whole term was held. So all the legislators that we spoke with, every one of them was against this. There was one legislator, John McDonald, who he was one that I thought was the most realistic. He said, listen, do we agree with this? No, but something has to happen. So he's not saying the whole termless is going to go back the way that it was, but he says we have to all, we have to get together with the governor and talk about how we're going to change things. Either the formula needs to change, which we all know that formula needs to change. So it was really a good experience. I'm really glad I went, and I certainly would love to go again, because it was, and we had 2 appointments. We have an appointment with Dee Dee Barrett, and I'm just finalizing one with Michelle Hinchy. Her person just got back to me today. So, yeah, I think it's really, I think we need to make relationships with these legislators, because they're going to be our friend, hopefully, going forward. The East Greenbush guy is the only guy that, he didn't say anything all day, and finally the last meeting we had, he was like, in the position that all of my colleagues here are, and he goes, we're actually getting $56,000, but we still need more money. So I thought that was interesting. But anyway, it was a great experience, and it was fun. I would recommend it. That's all for me. Okay, let's go on to new business. So we have a donation of grow lights, and do we have any other ones? No. So motion for the donation. Heidi, second. Margaret, any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Next up, we have the policy. So we have a first read, which are what I will need a motion on. And I know Jen left, but at our last policy meeting, she really helped with a lot of these first read policies, the 4321s. she put a lot of work into that, and she came to the policy committee with her recommendation, so I'm sorry that she left, but would have liked to thank her. But we're making a motion on the second read tonight, so can I have a motion, please? Margaret, second. Molly? Any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Next up is field trip to Syracuse for one grade 8 student for New York State Band Directors Association. Oh, that's cool. Motion, please. Heidi, second. Joe, any questions? All in favor? Thanks. Next up, we have the course, new courses that Sandra did the presentation on. Can I have a motion, please? Heidi, second. Margaret, any questions? All in favor? Thank you. Next up, we have the district calendar. Can I have a motion, please? Joe, second. Molly?
I do have a question on this.
Yes.
I'll wait for the question. I was just thinking, because we want to get enrollment up if at all possible, which helps with money. I don't know if there could be a spring or an autumn, but some sort of like welcome new people kind of something or other. And I don't know that this needs to be on the calendar, but I thought we should also have an orientation for any new students, particularly students coming into the high school, because that's something we realize we don't have. So that to retain students, maybe like student orientation for new students, and maybe some sort of a welcome breakfast. I don't know what it would be, but I mentioned it like, when I first got on the board last May, and I just was thinking about how there's only like 2 dates or something that like people from the outside, the families are kind of coming in. There's the open house in September. So anyway, I just wanted to.
Well, the district calendar is really,
it's not the time and place for that, yeah.
well, no, the district calendar is really for setting the instructional days for next year. So this is something that is obviously, we could discuss again, but that's just a different calendar,
thing.
that's
Okay.
all.
Never mind, as they say.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other questions? All in favor?
I'll repeat that another day.
Okay. So this is the next, I need a motion for the agreement between all the bargaining units, and this is for it's May 24th, so that Friday before the Memorial Day holiday. So can I have a motion, please? Joe, second. Heidi, any questions on that? All in favor? Thank you. Next is the disposal of 14 automated external defibrillators. Wow, we have 14 of them. That's interesting. Motion, please. Molly,
Are they
second.
all over the triple?
I don't know, I had 14 of them. I mean, I know they're in the gyms and stuff, but.
That's a lot.
Second, Margaret.
I can't.
All right, all in favor? Okay. They're probably outdated, I'm sure. The technology is different, yeah. I didn't even realize we had 14. I
The
mean,
difference
wow.
in technology, with birds,
So next up, we're at the personnel agenda. So this is going to be B through R. I need a motion first. Motion? Joe, second? Alicia? And now we can go through this. So as Lynette mentioned, we have the retirement of the speech teacher. She was here first. That's an awfully long time. And as you heard Lisa Reese, and we'll just say that, how great she was, so that's a big loss. But we wish her well in her next journey of her life. And next is Tina DeLeaf with 28 years. And I actually, when my daughter started kindergarten, Tina was her aide in her room, and I've known Tina for years. She's great. She really loves the children, and she's great. So wish her well as well. Did you want to say anything about those two women?
No, I just mentioned in my board report, when anybody has worked here that long, they've really served the district in a positive capacity and made a tremendous difference, not only for students, but for their colleagues that they work with. So we're very thankful to them in their years of service.
Great. We have Troy, who was he is now a permanent position instead of a probationary position. And what else? I highlighted something else. Oh, and we have a student teacher coming from SUNY New Paltz, who's going to be with Jennifer Jameson. So that's kind of cool. Does anyone else have anything else they want to? Oh, and then we have volunteers for the trap shooting team. Those volunteers get bigger and bigger every year. Like it was only a couple, now it's 4 this year, so that's awesome.
I love all those orange flowers that are up there.
Oh, at first I didn't get that, but now I get it. Does anyone have any other questions? Yes.
I just want to be separated on item F.
Item F. Okay.
Yes.
So you.
I'm opposing that, so Riley will approve the rest of it, just not F,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yes, no,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
fine.
Okay, it's clear.
All in favor? Okay, and then she gave us her exception. Okay, thank you. Let's see. Do we have another public forum? All right, before we get to executive, I have just a couple of additional items. The superintendent evaluation training, we need to set a date for that. I mean, I know we had the original, but we don't have passwords or we have nothing. So if he could come back and preferably in person, no, we've got nothing since our last Zoom meeting. And the interest-based bargaining, some of us were on a Zoom call with that, with a group that when I went to the conference in Buffalo, I saw this presentation and I suggested to bring it back. And so we're waiting to hear if the Teachers Faculty Association is willing to do this. I think they are, but we haven't gotten official word back from them yet. It's just a different way of negotiating. It's about all of us being in the room while we're talking about it, instead of us coming into a room, talking for 5 seconds, separating, coming back. So it's just a different way of bargaining. I think, it's a little bit levels itself to more transparency, a little more understanding where you're not perceiving what's going on in those rooms. It's a different way of bargaining. And so, and anybody got anything else? Additional items? All right, so I need a motion to go into executive session. Molly, second. Ron? All in favor? Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I still need this for the. Sure.